Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Juan Morales, Senior Staff Field Application Engineer for SmartHQ Service here at GE Appliances. It is an absolute pleasure to be with each and every one of you, and we're very excited because today we have a lot to talk about regarding the SmartHQ Service app. And of course, we're going to show you how to leverage it so that you can easily diagnose and troubleshoot dishwashers. Okay, so today the focus is going to be particularly on symptoms like the dish is not drying, not getting clean, things of that nature, okay? But before we move on, I want to quickly go ahead and just show you over here the information related to our website, because we do have a website, and that is smarthqservice.com. That's where you're going to be able to find all the information related to how to use the app, how to place an order, things of that nature. Now, you can also reach us at 502-714-2029, and we're always available, ready to take your call and help you out whenever you may need it. All right. So, my friends, again, we have a lot of material to get through today, so let's go ahead and quickly get started. First of all, we're going to start by mentioning our mission statement, and that is to leverage existing GE appliance service software systems and documentation to deliver efficiency gains to service technicians through an easy-to-use mobile portal. And that is one of the things I'm going to be emphasizing throughout the training, that the fact that this application is robust, it's a proven system, it's been working for many, many years. As a matter of fact, our GE factory service technicians currently use it, and they obviously rely on it to troubleshoot, diagnose, not just dishwashers, but every single appliance that GE makes. All right, so we're going to offer this now to you. All right, so on the agenda for today, what you will be learning will be the first topic is going to be the dish is not drying. Okay, this one is a little bit of a tough one, right? Because in the event that it was the problem was related to your customer, right? The way that they're using their dishwasher, you're not really going to know that. But with SmartHQ service, we're going to show you the cycle history feature. So we're just going to do a quick recap and show you how you can see how the customer has been using this machine during the last few cycles, right? We're also going to operate some components using the operate loads feature, and we're going to monitor them with the watch box feature. So needless to say, you need heat to dry the dishes, so we're going to be testing that heater. The second topic is going to be when your dishes come out dirty, how to overcome that, right? And again, this could be related to the customer not loading the dishes properly, maybe not using the right detergent. So in this case, it could be customer related, but obviously there could be some components that are also bad, and that is why we're going to show you how to test that using the operated loads feature in Watchbox. And of course, we're going to test the circulation pump. The last topic on the agenda is going to be the dishwasher not draining. And first, we're going to start off with some quick tips, just some information that common things that you should look for, okay, things I've learned while being in the field for the number of years that I was. I'll share that with you. But then, of course, we're going to show you how to troubleshoot the control board in the event that that's what's causing your no drain condition. Believe it or not, my friends, it could be the control board that causes your dishwasher not to drain. So we're going to go into that, right? Now, let's quickly move on here. And for those of you that may have never seen what the system consists of, at the heart of it is the Bluetooth module. Okay, that's what's going to connect to your appliance. And I want to just show you a screenshot here of my dishwasher that I have. So as you can see right here, for time purposes, I've already connected the Bluetooth module to the dishwasher. And the way that you do that is by accessing the RJ45 port, which is right behind the tow kick plate. So you connect the Bluetooth module using an RJ45 cable to that port, and now you'll be able to communicate with the appliance. So you can check to see if the circulation pump is running, any fault codes, all of that good stuff, so that you can find out what it needs, right, to be able to fix it. But in addition to the diagnostics, you also have access to cloud-based service documentation, which of course will give you things like wiring diagrams, service bulletins, mini manuals, service manuals. All of that information is available at your fingertips. Now, one thing about this app, my friends, that is a great thing is that it is available for both Android and iOS devices, okay? What that means for you is that if you're an iPhone user and you love it, you don't have to go out there and purchase additional hardware, right? You don't have to go to the store and buy a tablet or go to Amazon or anything like that. You can use the device that you currently own, right? And vice versa. If you're an Android user, why not? Use your Android phone. There's no need for you to switch gears and have to go out and buy additional equipment. So that's what's really, really convenient about the application. It works with both Android and iOS devices. All right, so I just wanted to mention that real quick. Now let's go ahead and move on to the topic at hand, the first one, which is the dishes coming out wet, all right? And if the dishes come out wet like here, your customer is going to be upset. Obviously, they're going to think that there is something wrong with the dishwasher, but you very well know this, right? I don't have to tell you this. In many instances, the reason why the dishes came out wet is not necessarily because the machine is broken, right? It could be that the customer is not using rinse aid, or perhaps they selected a cycle that doesn't necessarily dry the dishes. It could be a variety of things. Now, you could ask your customer, right, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, are you using rinse aid? Are you using the cycle that dries the dishes? And of course, what do you think they're going to say? Yeah, they're going to say yes. You think they're going to tell you, oh, no, you know what? I forgot to do that. My bad. No, they're going to say, you know what? You're the technician. I don't know what's wrong with the machine. You fix it. So in this case, it's a little bit difficult for you to find out. But with the cycle history feature, okay, you can instantly view the product usage pattern. In other words, you can find out how the customer has been using their dishwasher. And what cycle history is going to do, as you can see right here, it'll give you how the customer used the dishwasher during the last 5 cycles. So you see that red line there on the graph. This is an actual screenshot of a unit we recently diagnosed. And basically what it's saying is that cycle number, if we look at the data a little bit more closely here, it's saying that cycle number 23, 24, 25, and 26 ran for, approximately 185 or 82 minutes, somewhere in that neighborhood on average, right? But the cycle where the dishes came out wet only ran for 60 minutes, right? And that is the key to your success right there, my friends, because just with that information alone, you will be able to tell, first of all, how long the unit ran for and what cycle the customer selected, right? So if we go back to that graphic right there, you can see that the customer selected the express cycle. So it is very easy for you now to explain to your customer, in this case, the technician's doing it, ma'am, take a look at this. I can assure you there's absolutely nothing wrong with your unit. The only thing is you selected the express cycle, but let me show you how, which cycle to select so that you never, ever have this problem again. My friends, if you show this to your customer, right, if you have your tablet in your hand, your mobile device, whatever it is, and you show your customers tangible data, tangible evidence that indeed it was the cycle they selected that caused this issue, they will love you for it because there's nothing wrong with the product, right? Ultimately, the customer doesn't really want anything to be wrong with the product. They don't want you to take it apart and change parts. They want it to work. So if you can prove that to them, that's that's a plus always, okay? Not to mention that by eliminating that potential second or third repair visit, right? And the reason I'm saying that is because if you're not able to fully explain this to your customer, and let's just say they don't believe you, they'll probably let you go. They'll just, because they're busy, they got to go get their kids from soccer practice or whatever. And then a few days later, when the dishes come out wet again, because they're maybe selecting a different cycle, they're going to call you back and say, hey, buddy, guess what? You were just here, but the dishes are still coming out wet. I want you to come back. And this time it is on your own dime, okay? And if you look at the cost, we calculated that on average, it costs about $107 to put a service technician in the customer's home. So that's money straight out of your pocket, right? That's coming right out of your bottom line. So if you can eliminate those unnecessary service trips by using this feature, this application, right, you can dramatically lower the cost of operating your business. And of course, that is going to make you much, much more profitable. And that's exactly what we want to do here. We want you to leverage our SmartHQ service application so that you can become more prosperous and more profitable. All right. So that's the cycle history recap. And of course, this works for refrigerators, washing machines, everything. We'll cover that in a different YouTube live event. So now going back to here, the topic at hand, the dishes not drying. For that to happen, you need 2 things. And I think most of you know that you need heat and airflow, right? This is required for proper drying performance. Now, the beauty of the SmartHQ service app is that it will allow you to test both the heater and the door fan, right? And those are the 2 things that are going to provide heat and airflow. But in addition to that, I am also going to show you how you can use the watch box feature, this bad boy right up here, that will essentially give you a complete analysis of what's going on with the unit, right? What are the other components doing, which may be affecting the performance of the dishwasher as a whole. So the things that you can monitor here are going to be the diverter position. You're going to be able to monitor the thermistor, the turbidity sensor, and the pressure sensor. That all of that put together, that'll tell you more or less how the unit is operating internally. And again, you're not going to need to take out a single tool, no drills, no multimeters, no nothing. All you need is your mobile device and connect it to the appliance, and you'll be able to see all that in action. I'm going to show it to you right now in real time. Okay, so for that, what we're going to do is we're going to quickly connect to the appliance. And again, I already mentioned to you that for time purposes, I've connected my Bluetooth module there. So all I'm going to do is open up the app. So click on the app icon there. And now my mobile device, let me put myself up on the screen here so you can see what I'm doing. Everything that you see is happening in real time, okay? Whatever you see on my screen is happening on the bottom there. So now what's happening is the tablet or the iPad in this case, it's connecting to the Bluetooth module, and it is extracting all the information from this dishwasher right here. That's precisely what I want. I want to find out if there's any fault codes, if it needs a firmware update, if there's any alerts or service bulletins I should be aware of. I want to know all of that. And typically what I would have to do is either call tech support, or if I wanted to access the fault codes, I have to press a series of keys here, right? Memorize all the key code sequence to pull the fault codes. But that's too much work. That's a lot of memorization, especially if you're doing multiple products, right? And multiple manufacturers. With SmartHQ service, entering service mode is super, super simple, as you just saw right now, okay? So let's go through the dashboard very quickly here. And the first thing that I want you to notice is the firmware update alert. This is clearly telling us that there is no firmware update needed for this unit. And that makes sense because a few days ago, I actually updated firmware on the product. But if it needed an update, for example, to fix a software-related issue, you would know right then and there. And all you have to do is click it, boop, in about 2-3 minutes or so, firmware is updated. If you can fix a software-related issue just by doing that in a couple minutes, guess what? You never have to come back to the customer's home. No need to order a software update module or boards or anything like that. It's all done instantly. So that's just that in itself is a great feature. Also, I can see that there are no fault codes, but if there were, they would have showed up right here. Okay. So, and again, of course, if we scroll up, you can have access to service manuals, service bulletins, and all of that good stuff. So again, my friends, I just wanted to connect to it real quick so that you could see how easy it is, how simple it is for you to do it out there in the field, all right? So the next thing we're going to do is, of course, we're going to activate these components in real time. I said the door fan and the heater. So let's go ahead and do that. And again, we're going to do a side-by-side view. And we're going to actually be able to see the internal workings of the dishwasher here, okay? Now, to activate these components, what you need to do is you need to enter service mode. So to do that, you simply click the button labeled Next. We're going to look for operate loads because that's what I want to do. I want to operate my components. So we click operate loads. And the next thing you need to do is actually enter the service mode itself. To do that, press the enter service mode key and your screen is going to turn red, right? Just like you see it right there, it turned red. Now, let me put this into perspective, my friends, just so you can understand what's going on here. This iPad right now, this is essentially my remote control for every component on the dishwasher. And that is crazy because let me tell you, the second your customers see you bust out your tablet or phone and be able to connect to their appliance, they're like, what? How did you do that? I want that app, right? They want to download it to their phone. Now, of course, they can't do that because they're not servicers. You are. So you have the advantage here, but they're going to love you for it, okay? And guess what? Your credibility level is going to skyrocket. They're going to believe everything that you're doing because they're going to see how, advanced you are with technology, okay? But anyway, enough about that. Let's go ahead and operate this thing. So you click operate loads, and the next thing we need to do is I'm going to activate the heater. But to test it, this is how I would do it in the field. I'm going to fill the cavity with a little bit of water, and then I'm going to sort of splash it onto the heater once it gets hot and see if it sizzles, okay? Now, to do that, we need to close the door, all right, because for safety purposes, the door has to be closed. Now, I promise you a little bit later on, we're going to put a clear plastic cover over the door here so you can see everything that's going on. But for now, we'll just kind of leave the door closed, okay? So let's go ahead and press that water valve test, and we should hear the relay click. There it is, and I can hear the water coming in, okay? Again, later on, I'm going to show you physically what's going on inside as the water enters the unit. So the water is going to enter for about 60 seconds or so, but while it's doing that, I want to open up the watch box and take a look at one very important parameter, and that is the water pressure frequency value, okay? That's this bad boy right here, all the way at the bottom, water pressure. Now you notice that it's giving you some kind of a number in hertz. It's saying 41.24, 40.66, and you might be wondering, what the heck does that mean? What are those? That's just a bunch of numbers, right? Well, it's actually a bunch of very important numbers, because what this is telling me is essentially that as the water is entering the dishwasher cavity, the main board is able to communicate with the water pressure sensor to determine if indeed water is entering. The way it does that is, as the water enters, that frequency value will go down. And SmartHQ service tells you right here that a typical fill value for frequency will be somewhere between 40.77 and 40.44 hertz. We look at the number now that the water valve has stopped. It stopped at 40.61, so we are golden. We have a cavity with water in there, 100%. I guarantee it. Now, the next thing we will do is to test that heater. I'm going to activate it, and again, this is going to be fairly simple. You just press the water heater test button. So boop, click it, and we're going to let it run for approximately. I just started the relay, so there it is. It's running. We're going to let that heater run for about, I'm going to say, give or take 30 to 40 seconds. Okay, that should give it enough time to get really, really hot, right? So we're pumping 120 volts right into that cal rod, and it's getting super, super hot. Be careful when you open the door, and don't get too close to it. Definitely don't touch it unless you want a tattoo on your body. All right. So again, it's about 25 seconds. And I think by now that heater should be really hot. So what I want you to do is pay close attention when I open the door over here. I actually want you to see the heater when I splash water onto it. It is going to sizzle, and it's going to, a little bit of smoke is going to come out. So let's turn off the heater now. I think that's hot enough. I'm sort of going to lean over here and splash a little bit of water. There it is. Ooh, that is hot. You see the smoke? There it is. Beautiful. All right. So that's it, my friends. That's how you can test the heater. And again, that's how I would do it if I were you out there in the field, because it is such an easy test. There's no need for you to check resistance with a multimeter. No need to check to see if voltage is coming out of the main board. None of that stuff. Okay. By doing the simple test, I was able to tell if it's working. Now, that's one of the tests I wanted to show you. But again, we also talked about the fact that we need airflow, right? So to have airflow, we need to make sure that our door fan is in working order. So let me see if I can bring the door up to show the door fan. There it is. All right, that's the best that I could do right now. See the door fan right there, that little red guy? Okay, now we're gonna activate it, but unfortunately there's no real way for us to see inside. I would have to disassemble it, put a camera inside and some lights. It's kind of hard to do that. So the next best thing is I'm gonna put my microphone right next to it, and you're going to hear, as I activate the door fan button, you're gonna hear the fan go on, okay? So listen closely. All right, you should hear the fan running because I turned it on. I'm going to turn it off so you can see the difference. All right, and the fan just shut off. We're going to turn it back on again for sanity purposes. There's my fan, and I'm going to shut it off. All right, and clearly you heard that. I know I did from where I'm sitting right here. I heard it. You can also just kind of wave your hand over it. You'll feel the air kind of moving around, things like that. But like I said, my friends, this is one of the easiest ways to activate these components. You can do this again on every GE appliance, Monogram, Cafe, it doesn't matter, right? Any appliance that GE Appliances makes. All right, so we showed you how to activate the heater, the water valve too, and the door fan. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to go over here. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to run a heater subsystem test. What I mean by that is we're not just going to activate the heater itself. We are actually going to test every component that works whenever we need to raise the temperature of the water. And that, of course, is going to include my drain pump to get the water out of the unit initially, the water valve to get water into the unit, the circulation pump so that water can be splashed all over the place, the diverter position. We're also going to check that. And needless to say, the heater, and of course, everything is going to be monitored by our thermistor, right? The temperature sensor. Now, what's going to happen ideally is we're going to have a starting value when I hit the start key and whatever that is, and it's going to, we want to see a temperature rise. Now, here in the example we're showing, the temperature started at 80 degrees and it went up to about 100 degrees in a matter of about 8 minutes, all right? So that is essentially what I want to be able to show you in real time, right? We're going to activate the heater. We're going to, well, activate the heater subsystem test. And as water is flowing into the unit and moving around, getting splashed, we should see a significant rise in temperature. I'm thinking about somewhere between 15 and 20 degrees within 5 minutes or so, all right? Now, to do that, what I want to do is actually show you the guts of the unit. So we're going to put a clear door cover. But before we do that, I want to mention one thing about SmartHQ service that I think is extremely intelligent and intuitive. SmartHQ service is having this tool with you is like having a GE technical support agent with you at all times. And the reason I say that is because there is so much information here that sometimes we may overlook, right? When we're busy, when we're thinking about, life, kids, girlfriends, whatever. So SmartHQ service makes sure that it keeps you on, keeps you in check, keeps you on your toes. One of the things that it tells you is important. Please drain all the water before leaving. All right, that's very, very important, because in the event that maybe the unit's not draining and the customer, runs a cycle or something, it's like when you plug up your toilet bowl and the kids flush it and water spills. You don't want that to happen. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? So in this case, SmartHQ service is telling me, hey, buddy, before you leave, make sure you drain out all the water. So let me go ahead and show you how that's done by simply pressing the drain pump button, and look at the water as it leaves the unit. I just heard the drain pump kick in, and you should see the water sort of just disappear into the wilderness. It's actually going into the sink over here, down the pipes and going, gone. Just like the Yankees were gone, unfortunately, for you Yankee fans out there. I'm not a baseball dude. I'm a football guy. And today's Thursday, so you know what that means. With Thursday comes Thursday night football. So as soon as this is over, peace. We're gonna go watch the game. All right. Anyway, enough about that. Let's go ahead and show you here how to get out of this operate loads menu and go into the diagnostic tests menu so we can activate that heater test. We're going to hit the back arrow key. We're going to just simply click this button that says move to diagnostic tests. And in here, you find the heater test. So press it. There it is. Now, when I hit the start key, all right, again, just for safety purposes, SmartHQ service is very intelligent. It's going to first activate the drain pump, just in case I forgot to do it earlier. Okay, it's going to activate it so that it gets rid of all the water. Then it's going to turn on the water valve and do the rest of the tests. So again, I want to show you this, but I want you to see what happens inside of the unit. So we're going to put this clear door cover. Just sort of put it in place there. There it is. All right, my friends. And if you don't have this cover, make sure you get it. I will share the part number with you in a little bit, so stick around. But now, without further ado, let's go ahead and activate that test. So I'm simply going to press the start test button. There it is. And what you'll hear again is the drain pump run. So I can actually hear it running, but really there's no water in there. And because there's no water in there, what I should see as a value for my frequency, it's about 44 hertz for the water pressure frequency value. Let's see if that's true. And yep, there it is, 44.09. And clearly this, if I didn't know if there's water in there or not, I could tell by the frequency value. So again, that frequency is at 44, the unit is dry, there's no water. If it's at about 40, it's got water inside. That is how I would know if there's water in there or not. But also, without even trying, right, I just was able to confirm that my water pressure sensor is functioning correctly. And I didn't even, I wasn't even looking for that. But as a byproduct of the test that I conducted, I was able to see if that water pressure sensor is working. So one less thing to worry about, right? Also, I want to talk to you about that turbidity sensor value, because maybe some of you out there, again, I know for a fact there was a time I didn't know what a turbidity sensor was. Like, what's turbidity? Turbo something? Who knows, right? So I'm going to explain to you what that means for some of you out there that may not be aware of what it is. But let me go ahead and show you here with the clear door cover. Again, very nice item tab, because you can see that water is entering the unit, water is filling the cavity. Makes it easy for you to, when you're troubleshooting, diagnosing, to ensure that components are indeed working correctly. Plus, your customer will be curious and might want to take a peek It's pretty wild when you can see what happens inside of their dishwasher, right? We all kind of want to know what goes on behind the scenes of the workings of our cars and our lawn mowers and our maybe our dishwashers, right? What's happening internally. So now you can show your customer, right? Extra bonus points for you. All right, so as this is running, again, the cavity will fill. It's going to fill until it reaches about 60 seconds. Let's take a look at the water pressure sensor. It is showing 40.74, so it's almost there. It's almost completely full. And when it stops, the circulation pump, there it is, it's running. Now, what's happening here is water is coming out of the lower spray arm. You can clearly see that. And it is spinning clockwise, right? It's spinning in the clockwise direction. Now, what's happening also on the application is that you can see on the status column of the diverter position, it says lower spray arm spray system clockwise. Not only does it know which spray arm is working, but it also knows which direction it is rotating in, right? That's crazy. What this basically is doing is it's confirming that there's communication between the control board and the mechanism, the diverter mechanism that obviously channels the water through different parts of the dishwasher. Amazing technology because, again, now without even having to, just almost incidentally, I'm going to call it, I have verified that my diverter system is working correctly and it's able to communicate with the main board, right, with the control board. So again, my friends, this is an automated test, and a little bit the lower spray arm will stop and water will come out of the upper spray arm. And again, we should be able to see here that the diverter position, it should reflect wherever the water is coming out, okay? So we'll just sort of sit this down for a minute. Let's take a look at our temperature, all right? That's one thing I want you to focus on. The starting value, you can see it's 79 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what we started with. We started with, relatively warm water. But as time passes, right, as the water is being splashed around and making contact with that heater, which, by the way, is on, you can see in the heater status column that it is on, it will rise in temperature. And again, what I'm looking for is a change between 15 and 20 degrees in about 5-6 minutes. So we started about, let's call it 80, 79, 80. We should see about 95 degrees, in about a few minutes when we circle back, okay? So again, as it's doing this, I'm not going to let you just sit there and watch this thing spin round and round, even though it is tons of fun to look at it. I'm going to go ahead and show you something about that turbidity value, okay? Because I think it's important that you know how that works. So this is the turbidity sensor, okay, in effect. This is a component that checks the soil level in the water. That's exactly what the turbidity sensor does. It measures the soil level inside your dishwasher. And basically what that allows the unit to do is to save energy and time by eliminating unnecessary rinse cycles. So if the water is relatively clear, right, and that's precisely what we have here. We have clean water because I don't have any dishes there with grease or pasta sauce or anything like that. So the water should be clear. If the water is clear, our turbidity should be low, just like you see there in the cups of water. So the value, as far as a number that I'm looking for somewhere between 0 and 1,000 for low turbidity, which indicates relatively clean water. As the water gets dirtier and dirtier because it makes, it combines with the soiled dishes, turbidity levels will go up. And obviously, if you have extremely dirty dishes, your turbidity level will be higher because you'll have extremely dirty water. Now, let's take a look at what the real-time value is on SmartHQ service. And to do that, we need to open up the watch box. Okay, so again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press this little hamburger button up here, and I can see my turbidity value is 132. Right, and that makes perfect sense because that water is crystal clear. That's clean water that came in from the hot water line, and there are no dishes in there. I'm not running this with any dishes. If I throw a bunch of grease and pasta sauce and eggs and things like that, that turbidity level will go up. But because I only have clean water, that number is relatively low. All right, and for those of you that may be curious as to how this works, basically, in one of the posts of the turbidity sensor, there is a photodiode that emits light, and on the other side is a receiver. So if the water is clean, just like here, the light will be able to shine through no problem. That means low turbidity, and of course the value will be low, the number. But if the water is really dirty, there's almost going to be like a cloudy, glass between between the two posts. And of course, the machine will interpret that as high turbidity, which is extremely dirty water. Now, that, of course, will require more rinse cycles. So if that turbidity sensor ever fails, guess what, my friends? You will have an extended cycle time, guaranteed 100%. Your customer, you may be out there visiting a customer and they say, hey, the dishwasher works great, dishes come out clean and everything, but it takes so long, right? When I first got it, it used to take, whatever, the automatic cycle, an hour and a half, whatever the case may be, and now it's taking 2 hours, 3 hours. So if that's the case, you could have a bad turbidity sensor. It could be all gunked up, all dirty. That could be the cause. And of course, you can easily test it and troubleshooting using the SmartHQ service app, because as you can see right here, in the watch box, we can monitor the turbidity value. All right, so I wanted to share that information with you. Also, within the turbidity sensor, you have the thermistor. And that's, of course, the component that is testing our temperature right now. And basically, if you replace the turbidity sensor, you'll get a new thermistor, or if you need to replace a thermistor, you will get a new turbidity sensor. So they're one piece, really, really easy to swap out. Now, if you wanted to test that thermistor kind of the old-fashioned way, right, you can go ahead and place your multimeter leads at main PCB connector J806 between pins 11 and pins 8. And what you're looking for is approximately 10 kilo ohms at room temperature, at about 75 degrees Fahrenheit. But there's absolutely no reason for you to do that. The reason I showed you that schematic diagram is because I actually found that within the SmartHQ service app. That's where I like to emphasize that having SmartHQ service is like having a GE tech support agent with you, because if you had to call tech support, they would say, oh, measure the resistance. If it's room temperature, it should be 10 k ohms. But with SmartHQ service, you have that information right at your fingertips. But anyway, you don't need to do that, because if you go to the watch box, you can clearly see right there that our temperature value is reflected right there, right? Even if we weren't running this heater subsystem test, our temperature value will always show up. Speaking of temperature, about 6 minutes and 30-something seconds have passed by. Let's take a look at what the temperature is now. Precisely what I said to you was going to be 96, 97 degrees. It's going to continue to rise. And that, my friends, is a significant rise in temperature. That is a clear indication that my heater is working 100%. As the water is splashing onto it and making contact, the temperature level is rising. Okay. So for all intents and purposes, everything seems to be working well here regarding the heater and, of course, the other components. So at this point, to save a few minutes, we're going to go ahead and hit the drain and finish button. That's going to kill the test. We're not going to let it run the full 11 minutes. So drain and finish. So there we go. At this point, the drain pump will run. It's going to get rid of all the water. Oh, and let me take a look at the pressure sensor. We should see that value go up and eventually end up at about 44 hertz, somewhere in that neighborhood. That will be our indication that the dishwasher is dry, that it doesn't have any water. I mean, it's going to be, it's going to have moisture, but it's not going to have water in there. All right. So cool stuff. So I think that basically covers everything for the dishes not coming out dry. We talked about the heater. We talked about the door fan. Now let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. But before we do that, I did make you a promise that I was going to share the part number for that door. So here it is, my friends. Make sure that you bust out your camera phones, your pens and papers, whatever it is that you want to record this with. Here's the door part number, WX05X20002. And this clear plastic door will pretty much work with any GE dishwasher that was made after 2012, right? The full-size one, not the little ones that they have in hotel rooms, right? The big one. All right, let's move on to our next topic, which is the dishes coming out dirty, right? Now, again, very important for you to know that, especially if you're a rookie out there and you haven't been around the block too much, like us old-timers, getting a little gray out here. There could be other reasons why the dishes are coming out dirty that are not related to a defective dishwasher. One of the biggest ones is the customer doesn't load the dishes properly. That's huge, right? Instead of loading the dishes concave side down, meaning like a bowl side down, they put them, the other way, and then water gets stuck there. Or, they don't use rinsing. That could also cause it. They don't use the right detergent, or they use too much of it, right? All these different things. Maybe they select a cycle that's not meant for heavily soiled dishes. All these different things you have to take into consideration when you're discussing an issue with the dishes coming out dirty. A lot of these things you can find out by using the cycle history feature. And again, very powerful when you have tangible data, tangible evidence that you can show your customer, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, the reason why your dishes came out dirty is because you selected the cycle that's not going to clean them efficiently. So anyway, that's one aspect of it. But of course, you could have a problem with some of the components, right? You need the water to be diverted properly to every area of the dishwasher if you want to have optimum cleaning performance. 100% you have to have that. So in this test, we're going to actually check the circulation pump. We're going to activate it using the operate loads menu. But we're also going to check the detergent dispenser using operate loads as well, right? Because that's another component that you need to make sure it works. That little thing that pops open and lets the detergent come out. So if it doesn't open, obviously the little pill that you put in there or the detergent is not going to be able to mix with the water. In some cases, it's customer education, right? The customer will put a cookie sheet right in front of it, and when it tries to open up, it can't. So that could be the reason why it's not opening up. But we're going to show you how to test it. However, the first test I want to run is, of course, that circulation pump test, and let's go right to it. Okay. Here we have our clear door cover, so you're going to be able to see it run. So first thing we need to do is we need to exit out of the heater test. So hit the back arrow key. Then we're going to press move to operate loads. So we can go back to that operate loads menu, click operate loads, and now we're going to run our circulation pump test. But before we do that, we need water in there. So let me go ahead and activate the water valve. There's a water valve. Now I want to make sure that I don't flood this thing. So let me look at my frequency. I'm hoping that it's low, or sorry, it's high. Yep, it's high, which means the unit was dry. So now, as water enters the machine, that frequency value will go down, and it'll end up at about, like it says right here, typical fill, 40.77 to 40.44 hertz. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you out there, but it's important for you to understand what they mean, because after a while, it's going to be second nature. You're going to see these numbers, boom, you're going to be like, all right, it's the machine's empty, or it's full, or the reason why it's not draining is because my water pressure sensor is not working. All these little things will begin to get zapped in your brain, and you will be a champion at troubleshooting. Trust me when I tell you this, okay? I've seen technicians that know nothing about how these things work go from 0 to 60 in no time using SmartHQ service, of course. Now, I'm not just saying that. I really, truly mean it, okay? I wouldn't be here talking to you this late at night if this was just, a game or something. All right, let's go ahead now that we activated the water valve and activate each individual section. So the first thing I want to do is have water come out of the lower spray arm. So I'm going to go ahead and press lower, and let's see what happens, right? Let's see where the water comes out of. So I'm seeing that it's coming out of the bottom, but it's actually coming out of the silverware blast nozzle, okay? Not to worry, because that diverter inside has to sort of get in position. It's got to find its home base before it can actually come out of the nozzle, of the area I selected. Now, SmartHQ service does tell you down here, important, please allow approximately 1 minute for the correct position of the diverter, all right? And that's something you need to be aware of, my friends, because you might be out there, you press the lower key and water comes out of somewhere else, and you might be wondering, is this a defective diverter valve? No, it's not defective. The diverter mechanism, I'm going to show you exactly how it works internally, has to sort of get back to its home position and then shift until it finds the right port, okay? I'll explain again how that works. But I just wanted to let you know it could take up to a minute. In this case, it didn't even take a minute, okay? Now, I'm going to switch over from the lower spray arm to the upper spray arm. Press the upper button, and you're going to see the water stop moving, right? The circulation pump will stop running, and the diverter will start to shift position, and the circulation pump will run again. Now, we can see that it's still coming out of the lower spray arm. That's that 1 minute buffer time, right? So, again, the circulation pump stops. Now it's going to try again, and let's see if it comes out of the upper spray arm. And there it is. All right, very, very simple. It didn't take a whole minute. It took maybe 10 seconds, less than that. But now the upper spray arm is working. And to further validate that that's what is happening, we're going to go ahead and open up the watch box and look at the diverter position. It clearly says upper spray system. So that means the position of the diverter is correct. It is communicating with the main board, with the control board. And of course, that information is being sent wirelessly to my mobile device. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that crazy that things have gotten this wild, this technologically advanced? I wish I would have had this back when I was a tech. I'd have been the king of first-time completion rate and especially, elevated customer service scores. All right, let's go ahead and move to the next one, which is silverware blast nozzle. So I'm going to press silverware on, and I should see the water, again, the circulation pump will stop, and then water should come out of that bottom corner nozzle back there. There it is. All right, so that one was instant. It didn't take a minute, didn't take any time. It was instantly a shift to the right position. All right, let's go ahead and stop the test. And basically what we did right here, my friends, is we were able to verify that the diverter is able to channel water correctly to every section of the dishwasher. Essentially what that does for you is it allows you, for example, if your customer is saying the dishes on the lower rack are coming out clean, but the ones on the top aren't, you can verify to see if that maybe you have a blocked spray arm, right? And you can test it just like that. And you could see, obviously with a clear plastic door, you can see what's going on inside. So very, very, everything works in conjunction. Very powerful when you actually, put it to use. So now that I've shown you the individual tests, all right. Oh, I got to show you one more. That little dispenser cup right there. Okay. Let's go back to our friend over here, side-by-side view, and all the way at the bottom, you see where it says main cup dispenser. Now we're going to turn it on, and it's going to instantly open that detergent dispenser. And keep your eyes open because this happens very, very quickly. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. There it is. Boom! Just like that. In a heartbeat, boom! It opened up. Now, incidentally, you may be wondering what that on 15 seconds button does. When I press it, if there's rinsate in this rinsate dispenser right here, what's going to happen is a little bit of rinsate is going to start to sort of drip down below the dispenser. And that's your indication that that dispenser is working. Okay, that's another way to test it. But that one's going to take about 15 seconds. And again, you have to have rinsate. You have to have the door sort of, almost in the closed position so that the rinsate can drip down, and you'll be able to tell if it's working. All right, let's go ahead and do that that other one again because it was so much fun. Again, keep your eyes open. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Boom, just like that. I could do this all day, my friends. This is so much fun. I could do this all day, but I'm not going to do that to you, right? We're not going to do that. We have to move on to the next topic. So let's go back to this PowerPoint over here. I hope you're understanding a lot of this information because it is really, really useful. Let's now go ahead and do a subsystem test of the entire circulation pump / diverter. All right, this is going to allow us to check to see if the circulation pump works, if the diverter is able to automatically, not manually, but automatically transition between lower spray arm, upper spray arm, and silverware blast nozzle. All right, so again, this test is going to happen in the background. I am not going to be pressing buttons. I'm just going to have to activate one key, and that's going to activate the test. Let's go ahead and do that. So we have to go back to diagnostic tests. So let's hit the back arrow key, move to diagnostic tests, and in here we can find the circulate test button. Let's click on that. And now I can go ahead and begin the test. But before I do that, again, having SmartHQ service is like having a GE technical support agent with you at all times, right? Somebody that's going to keep you alert of potential pitfalls, right? One of them is you could possibly flood the customer's house if there's water in there and you didn't drain it and you started a water valve test, right? So the instructions right here, this is how intuitive and how easy to follow SmartHQ service is. It's telling you manual step number 1, make sure the door is closed, which it is for, in theory, because we have the door cover here, and make sure that the pressure sensor reads between 44.27 and 43.94. It's essentially telling you make sure that there's no water in the unit. But to do that, we need to understand that pressure sensor frequency value. So let's go ahead to the watch box. And wow, we can see right here, water pressure is, the frequency number is low, which means we have water in there. I promise you there's water in, guaranteed, because if it was dry, the number would be high. So again, this is sort of reminding you, hey, knucklehead, make sure you drain that water first before you start the next test. Okay, that's what it's doing. But here's how safe it is to use this app and how much, how intuitive, how helpful it is. the first thing that's going to happen when you hit the start test key is it's going to automatically activate the drain pump no matter what. So even if you forgot to drain it, right? Even if you were thinking about too many things and didn't drain it completely, it's going to prevent you from flooding the customer's house, which of course, if you do that, your customer is going to freak out, right? It's going to prevent you from doing that by activating the drain pump. So let's go ahead and activate the test, and let's hear the drain pump kick in. Boop. Start test. There's a drain pump, and if we look at our frequency, that pressure, water pressure frequency value should go up to about 44, 44.2, 44.9 hertz, somewhere in that 43.9 hertz, somewhere in that neighborhood. So we can see the number clearly. It is going up ever so slightly. Now it's at 41.72, and it's going to continue to go up. Okay. Now, once the drain pump has been running for about 70 seconds, somewhere in that neighborhood, the next thing that's going to happen is the water valve is going to turn on for about a minute to fill the cavity with water. Then the circulation pump is going to run, but in this case, it's going to run automatically, right? It's going to activate the lower spray arm, the upper spray arm, and finally the silverware blast nozzle. So we're going to wait for that to happen. Going to give it a few seconds, and you will hear again the water valve be activated. And actually, you might see it. The thing is, with the hot water here, it made things very, very cloudy. It's all foggy here, so I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see necessarily the water coming in. Let's see what happens. Let's give it a few seconds. There it is. The water valve is on, and I don't know if you could see it. I can't really see it on my monitor, but you will start to see water sort of moving around in there, which of course is going to be indicative of water entering the unit. All right, and then of course we're going to see the circulation pump run, and water is going to be sprayed everywhere. Now, while this is happening, my friends, I want to go ahead and show you a little bit of the theory of operation of that diverter, because I think it's important that you understand it, all right? So this is what the diverter looks like if you were to take the machine apart. And basically, it is an active 4-port driver, okay? It doesn't have that little check ball inside or anything like that. It's an actual active 4-port driver. And the way that it works is it switches position when the circulation pump motor briefly turns off and then powers back on, because the position of the diverter, that disc that diverts the water, will be held in place by the water pressure that's provided, of course, by the circulation pump, okay? Let's go back over here just to see what's happening. So now the water has entered the unit, and of course, water is coming out of the bottom sprayer, okay? And clearly, we can see in the status column, lower spray arm system clockwise, so everything is working beautifully so far. All right, let's go back over here to the explanation of the active 4-port driver. So again, when the circulation pump is off, the disc right there is going to sit halfway between two ports. That's going to block prevent the water from going anywhere. And of course, this creates a really, really good seal to the sump, the motor, and the conduit adapter, which helps prevent leaks. But when you activate the drain pump, or when the, sorry, not the drain pump, circulation pump, when it starts to run, water pressure is created inside, that disc will rotate, it'll be pushed up, and it will rotate 1/8 of a revolution, and now water will be able to come out of one of the ports. So that's going to happen as long as there's water pressure, and then when the circulation pump stops, the disc will drop. It will continue to rotate counterclockwise 1/8 of a revolution, and now it will sit again between two ports. And it'll just continue to do that as it goes through the lower spray arm, upper spray arm, and the silverware nozzle. Okay, and that is what's called, that's exactly what's happening here. That's why it takes a little bit of time. That's why we say it could take up to a minute for that diverter to find its correct position. Because it is, with water pressure, it is rotating ever so slightly. And of course, in some cases, it doesn't do the full rotation depending on the water pressure, but eventually it will fall into place. And as you saw in the example I just showed you here, it was very, very quick, right? Not a full minute by any means. It was maybe 5-10 seconds at most, right? So very, very simple to use. All right. We can see now that, of course, water continues to come out of the lower spray arm system. And again, eventually it's going to come out of the upper spray arm. Now, what I want to do here, my friends, is as this is happening, I want to go ahead and just share, for those of you that may have joined us a little bit late, I want to share our contact information. Our website, again, is smarthqservice.com, and our phone number is 502-714-2029. And if you want to reach us via email for technical support questions, or just send us a hello out there, our email address is smarthqservice.support@geappliances.com. And of course, there's our physical address if you want to send us snail mail. Also, I want to quickly mention on the website, you're going to find a lot of useful information related to how to place an order. Also, you can find a plethora of training videos that show you step-by-step detailed instructions on how to utilize the various functions within SmartHQ Service. I know in this 1 hour, I can only show you certain things on one product, but of course, if you use the website, you'll be able to find more information. We also have testimonials in there from service companies that are currently using SmartHQ Service, and they want to share their stories on how this app has transformed their business. And of course, up there we have Mr. Kevin Nolan, who is our president and CEO, and he has a very special message for everybody. He highly endorses this application. All right, let's take a look at what's happening here with the circulation pump test. So clearly it is running, and it will continue to run, and eventually it will transition over to the the silverware blast nozzle, and then it will drain. Okay, but I think we've understood pretty well how this test works. All right, it definitely works 100%. And as this test is running, my friends, I can assure you, because everything is working automatically, that for all intents and purposes, this dishwasher should be cleaning the dishes correctly. Okay. Now, one thing you can do with this test, all right, because it's going to take, again, somewhere between 7 to 11 minutes, you can actually use it as a post-repair functionality verification test if you have to replace any parts. What I would do if I were you is set it down, right? Put it down, clean up your area, put away your tools, sweep, just tidy up things, explain things to your customer, like Mr. and Mrs. Customer, how to load the dishes properly, use rinse-aid, all that stuff. And by the time you're done putting away your tools, this test will have completed, and you will have the assurance that the product has been successfully repaired. Not only that, but you can show your customer, look, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, for example, the heater test, you can see the heater temperature is, went up, so it definitely is working. Customers love that. When you can show tangible evidence that everything is functioning correctly, that is always, that'll close the repair. We talk about sometimes closing a sale, right? This is a way for you to close the repair. All right, let's go back to the view over here and see where we're at. So now the water's coming out of there. For time purposes, I'm going to kill this test by simply pressing drain and finish. Oh, there it is. And now the test will end, and the water will be taken out of the dishwasher. All right, so that was our dishes coming out dirty segment. And the last thing we want to show over here is going to be, what do you do if the dishwasher is not drained? All right, very, very quickly, we're going to go through some quick tips. Number one, make sure you clean that filter, right? Make sure that that filter has been cleaned by the customer. And of course, customers always do that, right? They make sure that every week or so they take it out, scrub it. Yeah, right. You might have to do that yourself. So fortunately, get a nose plug or something. Take that sucker out and run it through some hot water, scrub it a little bit, and you should be ready to rock and roll. Also, while you're there, inspect the drain line, right? Make sure that whoever installed this thing installed a high drain loop. Otherwise, that water is going to back right up into the dishwasher, and it's going to give you a no drain fault code. If your customer has a garbage disposal, make sure that discharge plug has been knocked out. Now, one thing about this, my friends, I want to just give you my 2 cents. You can do whatever you want out there in the field, right? I'm not there to babysit you, but I can tell you from experience, I've seen many, many times technicians run into the situation. They'll take their flat blade screwdriver, their hammer, and try to knock that discharge plug off. And guess what? They end up breaking something. And now that problem became their problem. So my recommendation, and again, you can do whatever you want. My recommendation would be to have the customer, if you notice that, advise your customer what's wrong. Have the customer contact whoever installed this thing to fix it, but you demonstrate to them that the unit can drain. How do you do that? Take the hose off of the garbage disposal, put it in the sink, run the drain pump using your SmartHQ service application, and presto, you're able to show them that the dishwasher is working fine. The problem is the garbage disposal. Let that person deal with it. Okay, don't get into that head of yourself, because I've seen it before, and I can assure you I will see it again many, many times. All right, so I wanted to share that with you real quick. All right, Also, you might run into the situation where your control board is actually at the problem here, right? The reason why your drain pump, this kind of sounds crazy, but it could be that your control board is what's causing the drain pump not to operate. And in this case, we talk about a fuse, right? And the reason I mentioned that is because in SmartHQ service, there are a plethora of videos. There are a ton of videos there that you can find for various products. Here, I'm just showing you an example of the dishwasher. And this screen capture shows features and functions, right? How does the deep clean silverware jet work? How does the dry boost system work? Things like that. But within the SmartHQ service app, you can access service videos as well. And one of them shows you how to troubleshoot that control board, right? So let me go ahead and go right to the videotape so you can see what I'm talking about. Alrighty, my friends, and there you have it. That was amazing information. Very important that you understand that, right? It could be that fuse that is open, and you might go out there and replace the drain pump, right? Machine's not draining, let's replace the drain pump and see what happens. And guess what? It's not going to work, right? So you might go and say, well, let me replace the main board. Maybe that's what's causing it. And if it was your circulation pump that was shorted that was causing this all along, guess what? You're now back to square one and you're freaking out trying to figure out which part is bad, okay? So that's why it's important that you understand all of this information that's available to you. And again, you can gain access to these and many other videos right from the SmartHQ service application, okay? All right, my friends, unfortunately, that is all the information that I have for you today, but I want to thank you once again for watching. Please join us next month. We will have another one of these sessions and take a look at our website, our YouTube channel, which of course will have these videos on demand later on. So again, my friends, stay safe out there. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye. Kids, Das.